Okay, welcome to American Government, Paul's 100. My name is Kyle Irvin. I'm going to be your instructor. It's going to be an online class through South Dakota State University. So hopefully the only reason you're watching this is because you properly accessed this course. We're going to run during the summer from June 26th, 2015 to July 31st, 2015. So it's going to be a fast and furious month as we work through the world of American government. So I am a lawyer in Sioux City, Iowa. I have worked on my PhD in political science as well, but that's not completed. My email, we'll just use a D2L course mail. And then obviously it's an online class. My office hours are going to be virtual. And my office is virtual, so email is going to be the main way to get a hold of me anyway. There are no prerequisites to the course. So in looking at the course syllabus, we'll just get started in looking at that here initially so that you can familiarize yourself with the syllabus, because that'll be an invaluable tool for you to refer to as we go throughout the class, so you kind of know where the class is headed and whatnot. So obviously our goals are to learn about American government and politics, um, and the different branches of government and some things that you may have not thought about as being government. For instance, bureaucracy, as being a seemingly branch of the government. There's other interest groups as well, and there's different theories about how interest groups should or should not impact the political process in the government. So we will work through all those different topics, and down the page on the syllabus will show you where those are addressed in each different week of the class. Um, Government impacts your life on a daily basis, no more so than when the government shut down. A couple years ago, I was teaching this class in a different place, and several of the kids and students in that university were concerned about what was going to happen with their financial aid checks, given that the government was shut down. So, financial aid, how that flows, those are really important ways that government impacts your lives right now. What the rate of student loan interest is on your loans may not seem super important right now, but when you get out and you're working in the world and you get that first bill for your student loan payments, you start to realize how important it was that you would have paid attention in this class and been tracking with what that student loan interest rate was going to be when you got out or became politically active, and about the issue of student loans and financial aid in college. So for most of you, that's going to be a really important, easy way for me to convince you that studying about government and learning about government is really important, because the amount of aid that states provide to universities, the amount of aid that the federal government provides through to universities, or through grants, or through different kinds of student loan programs, student loan forgiveness programs. All of those things are going to be really important to your earning power, your net worth, and all that kind of stuff when you actually get out of college and you start working in the real world, um, and those things start to have an impact. So um, it's an important thing that we learn about government. We'll talk a little bit about grants and whatnot in this class, and I'll start out my first PowerPoint. Will be going through again the student loan issue on why it's important and what's going on there. So, but maybe to the more important things on the syllabus, now that we've kind of built why you should be listening and why you should be here, what are we going to have to do in the class? Well, you've gotten your book, hopefully, and so each chapter in the book. We'll work through each chapter. You'll be expected to read through each chapter and then answer a series of discussion questions online in the discussion forums that I've separated you out into. And then you'll have to take exams, which will be primarily multiple choice on the different chapters that we work through. So that will be the prime workload that you have to go through. You'll have to read through the chapters, post discussion questions, post responses to the other members of your group as well, and try to keep up to speed. There will be study guides for each exam that you can access ahead of taking the exam, and I would encourage you to both review your books and review the study guides and the discussion posts from your peers ahead of actually taking the test, because that will hopefully put you in a position to be prepared to answer the exam questions. Okay, so we're going to look about how government impacts your daily life, and we're going to have you discuss that in discussion forums, and then be responsible for that and answering questions on exams that I will give you. And we'll look at different ways that different groups do political participation and things of that nature, and we'll take you through all those different things. Okay. Alright, so the book in this class is Government in America, People's Politics and Policy, the 2012 election edition, Edwards, Wattenberg, and Limeberry. So you should have that book. If you don't, you will need it, because that's where we will be getting our assignments from, and that will track with the different exercises that we end up doing. Okay. So for instance, in week 1, chapter 1 of that book is a lot about the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, and we'll talk about the Federalist Papers, which were Alexander Hamilton and James Madison, and a lot of those seeking to defend why we needed a more centralized government, as opposed to the position of the Anti-Federalists, who didn't like the idea of having a centralized government because they were concerned about what that would do towards individual rights. And so we'll talk about the Federalist Papers, and then we'll talk about federalism and the judiciary. Okay, and then you will take a test at the end of week 1 over those things, and we'll move on then after that to week 2. In week 2, we'll talk about the Congress, the presidency, civil liberties, and civil rights. There'll be a PowerPoint for each chapter and a presentation by me, and going through each one of those chapters and discussing it. So you'll need to watch the presentation by me, and then post in the discussion forum and be prepared for tests. And I will be able to see if you've watched the lecture or not on the online thing, so I would encourage you to go ahead and watch the online lecture. Okay, so Congress, presidency, civil liberties, and civil rights in week 2. Week 3, we'll talk about the bureaucracy, interest groups, the budget, economic policy making, and national security. You'll take a test over those subjects, and then we'll finish up with public opinion, political parties, nomination and campaigns, and voting behavior, and that'll be our final test. So your exams are worth 80% of your grade. Watching the video lectures and doing your discussion posts are worth 20% of your grade. Okay, as I say down in the syllabus here, each test will be primarily multiple choice. There may be some short answer and essay questions, and the questions will be primarily taken from the lecture material in the textbook. Okay, as I said, you'll get a study guide, and then we'll look at the class participation from the discussion thread, so I'd also encourage you to review those as well. In regards to class participation in that format, you'll post an initial posting, and it needs to be 4 sentences long and actually have some substance to it. Okay. Um, so then you need to respond to another classmate's posting as well. And the response has to be original and provide insight rather than just saying, "Oh, I agree with this person or that person." Um, you need to actually engage and have a discussion. So you'll get 2 points if you post by Saturday night at 10 p.m. of the week of the class, at least 4 sentences with some grammatic structure that makes a strong point for your perspective on the discussion question, and then you have to post a response as well. Okay. If you don't get that done by the time frames, you won't get any points for the presentation. So I would encourage you to post early and often throughout the weeks that we have, because once you get your initial post done and get your response done, then that'll be a good thing. You don't want to not have your initial posts done, and then if nobody else does them, you're going to be in a world of hurt because everyone's got to respond. And if people are making their initial post Saturday night and there's nothing to respond to, that's not being very nice. So, um, down is our expectations of grades: grade A, grade B, okay, C and D, and F. We hope no one gets those, but those happen. ADA statement: if you need anything disability wise, you can contact the individuals listed at the numbers and contact information in the syllabus, um, and then all those kind of things. In terms of plagiarism, don't do plagiarism. Um, it's a bad idea. Most of the academic structures that you will find yourself in from here on out will reward you for citing to someone else rather than to pose your own ideas without any attribution. So at this stage, for most of you, you won't get rewarded for simply having your own um, ideas about things. And if you post them as being someone else's ideas as your own, you got to do some kind of citation. Okay, make sure that you do not plagiarize. You don't want to go there from a legal aspect. This is my free legal advice for you for the day. It's just not a good idea to dive in on that. Okay. So I wouldn't want to do that. You don't want to see what the legal system and university life does to you if you've plagiarized. Because when we talk about those kind of things, it gets you in a world of hurt to begin with, and that's not where you want to be in your academic career at this point. So that is the syllabus.